Hello, 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 hello. I promise that's not the last time I talk this night. I promise. So, Leo and Marina.
Cheers. Okay. Cheers. Is this working? Yeah. My name is Leo X Robertson. I'm a writer. I also started the Stavanger Filmmakers Club. That's what I want you to know about. Facebook.com/Stavanger Filmmakers, 2 M's. If you like this kind of story, let's turn this kind of thing into film.
Short, okay. My name is Marina, and I am a Brazilian writer, and I'm here in Stavanger pursuing a master's degree, so that's why I'm here. And, well, the idea behind this presentation was talking not only about our stories, mainly our short stories, but also a theme that's very common in our writings, that there is death. And let's not try to take this to a gloomy place, but I guess it's a very present theme in everyone's life, because, well, everyone's gonna die. I'm sorry to tell you that. Everyone's gonna die. Yeah.
Spoiler.
I'm sorry.
Spoiler.
I have a therapist number if you need, but yeah, everybody's gonna die. So the idea is, I will read a short story, and if you have questions or comments about it, just say it after the reading, and then Leo's gonna do the same, and then we can talk a little bit about the theme itself. So my shorts, I'm not reading with my, it's okay if I just read this way, everybody can listen? Yeah? Okay,
Cool.
So,
Good
sorry,
idea.
thank you. This short story, the name is Lost Watch, and it was published this year by a Brazilian publisher, so we had to translate the story and try to adapt some things. So yeah, here I go. It's a love short story, which I don't write that much, and I hope you enjoy it. Lost Watch, Part 1. Angel. This truth that emerges in handwritten letters always delights me. Now, putting myself in the voice of a poet who tries to liquefy his soul and let it flow to an envelope, I see that this assorted truth is nothing more than the result of duality. A duality that in many ways represents life. Not the generic life, a word that some people use without diving in its meaning, but about our life, about us. I can't see a better way to start a farewell than with the beginning. We've always been duality. Our first encounter predicted what we would become. An ordinary Wednesday that was a trigger for the pointers of my routine never to tickle in a monotonous way again. Do you remember how it happened? I remember it was dark. I remember an uncompromising happiness guiding your gestures. You, laughing with friends in front of the club. Me, freezing in the sidewalk, staring down at the curb, looking for a lost watch. I was looking for the watch like I didn't want to find it. It wasn't a watch of much importance or value in itself, but the agony of feeling the mark left on my wrist, making that absence visible, drove me to walk for another minute in search of the object that once occupied that piece of skin. For 1 minute more, for 1 minute more. And then you saw me. You, light smile, bottle in hands. You, messy hair celebrating your academic achievement. I was seen. Me, tender and tense, eyes on the ground. Me, with a mark disappearing from the skin. You offered to help. I pointed to the coffee shop where I used to go after work, on the opposite corner of the club you often went to. I had probably lost my watch on my way. You offered to help and gave me your name. Angelo, nice to meet you. That easy. Later that night, you would point out the opposite in our names. Yours, Angelo, a creature with wings. Mine, a myth known for its fall. Icarus. Your attention to words made me want to become a poet, to be poetry. So we began, and so we went through the years. Your way of existing and walking through the threads of time as someone who plays hopscotch with destiny made me an spectator of a soft and lively dance. I was still worth. I would still wear a watch, read my kind of book in silence, work in the only place I've ever worked in my life. I would still go to the coffee shop on the corner of the club. You were still air. You would still cultivate multiple interests, bring freshness and easy conversation with strangers. You would still dance at the club at the corner of the coffee shop. Little by little, I once or twice even danced. Just like some days, I would catch you with the corner of my eyes, reading some book from my shelf. A decade of union passed by, and not only we were still different from each other, but we grew and became different from what we were before we became us. Unbelievable things happened. Do you remember our anniversary at the major island? I gave you the parachute. I gave you the parachute so you could fly even more, as it was always your right and your destiny. The gift was for you, but it ended up being for me too, and I jumped. Me, with the remains of a boy who never even climbed the stairs in fears of falling, watched you fly free, as if the wings that your name had given you had materialized on your back. I wanted to taste even more of your emotion, see the world as you saw it. For me, once was enough. Together we jumped. It is beautiful to realize how it changed without intent, without plan, without persuasion. The way I perceived your acting in the world made mine being a little less fixed. Our vibration was always different, a constant spiral of contradictions so well architected that they formed a unique melody. Water and wine, peace and laughter, club and coffee shop. Irish coffee, in your words. Our life would be the perfect fairy tale were it not for this need that time and destiny imposed, the need of an end, the need of a goodbye. It's more than corny to say that you were there with me during the most difficult moment of my life, but I cannot avoid it. You were really there. The office smelled like alcohol. I accepted the diagnosis as one would hear a death sentence. The furniture was white, the walls of a cold ash. 3 months. I remember there was a plastic plant. 3 months, maybe less. I should be writing to help you remember the good things after I'm gone. The smell of softener in our freshly washed sheets. My perfume, which you've always loved to put on your own clothes. The funny texture of the parachute fabric, which has become your favorite hobby. Seeing Luke's little face when we choose to adopt him. We choosing a coffin for me. Thinking about colors, materials, sizes, and shapes of coffins is an activity that healthy people never imagine themselves performing. Until some emergency calls and you find yourself forced to face this very extensive market on the world. The stage of my deterioration has allowed me to experience unusual things like this, like choosing my own coffin. Never doubt your magical abilities, my angel, because your presence made even these moments light, funny. I will also make it clear here that I am allowed to hunt you for the rest of your life if you put me in that purple mortuary urn. That is your thing. I confess here, though, a posthumous secret. I told your nieces to use something similar for you when the age comes. It's amazing how different we've been so far. Even now, me with the burial scheduled, and you with the desire to be cremated when old age strikes. I'm not feeling sorry for myself here. This phase passed some weeks ago. Now, I'm just grateful. Angel, the joy of your existence is present in me even as I'm writing a letter for you to read after my passing, and I'm really very lucky. And the duality of this letter too, the thrill that assails to my handwriting like the smell of my perfume and you, comes from this. A dense smoke produced by the intrusion between misfortune of time and the human will to love together. This unwelcome break caused by destiny to souls who more than anything desired to be forever united. This duality that here brings you feelings, this duality that has brought happy vitality into our lives. I am sad to leave you, to have a very precise awareness that our moments together are limited. On the other hand, I am glad to think of the chances we had of loving as we loved, of having been strongly vulnerable, of having shared unique experiences together. Know that every day of my life I thanked the universe for losing my watch that Wednesday night at the... Know that every day of my life I thanked the universe for losing my watch that Wednesday after having a cup of coffee at the end of my workday. It seems that all the choices I've made and all the moments of my existence were perfectly designed for me to find life in our corner. From your Icarus with endless love. Part 2. On the backseat of the car, Icarus feels the letter sealed in the inside pocket of his blazer. 3 weeks ago he had written, sealed, and placed the letter on the first page of his bedside book, hoping that any time after his passing, Angelo would find it. But Angelo would never find it. Icarus, sitting next to him on the backseat of the car, Nurse Mary touched his knee, waking him from a little daydream. She calls him in a soft, crooked voice, trying hard to contain the crying. After living with Icarus and Angelo for the last few months, it was impossible not to create an effective bond with them. Although she had waited for Icarus' final moments and was professionally prepared to see his last sights, Nurse Mary had not prepared herself for what happened to Angelo. Neither had Icarus, nor had anyone. Mary adjusted Icarus' oxygen tube, getting ready to get out of the car with him. Icarus held the friendly nurse's hand and sobbed again. Why? He was asking more to the universe than to the woman next to him. In his lap, the purple urn that once had been a laughing stock now carried Angelo's ashes. Icarus got out of the car and into his wheelchair, assisted by the nurse. His body was already very weak, but he insisted on coming to this place, to this corner, one last time. Nurse Mary pushed him to the entrance of the club, where his trembling hands powered a handful of Angelo's ashes. Icarus then asked to be taken to the front of the cafe, where he powered another handful, this last one carried by the wind. No one was prepared for the most typical game of destiny, which always orchestrates a way to evade human plans. Angelo has suffered a parachute accident the week before, during the last adventure the two had planned together. The last sight Icarus had of Angelo was his love flying through the skies. Now, his body was ash scattered all over the air on the corner of the club and the coffee shop. With his heart holding tight, Icarus asked to the Nurse Mary to push him to the center of the sidewalk. He pointed to the curb. Icarus told her how 15 years ago he had lost a watch on the curb of this street. The end. And sorry for my reading skills out loud, I don't practice them. So yeah, this is the short story that I've most recently published, and it's probably the first love story that I've written. And well, if you have any comments or questions about this particular one, you can feel free to put them right now. Or maybe you do have a comment.
Did you take a long time to come up with the character names?
Not really. The character names were the first thing that I thought. The first thing that came to my mind was Icarus names, actually. In Portuguese, the different name is Caio. In Caio in Portuguese is the verb fall as well, and it's a common name for male.
Yeah, because Icarus is coming from the legend, mythology, Greek, of Daedalus and Icarus.
Yes.
That's what I'm almost asking to you, whether you get read the name of hablo español, Argentina.
Yeah.
Where the name is coming from, the character of Icarus.
Yes, the original name was Caio in
Caio.
Portuguese, which means like
In
fall.
Portuguese,
Yeah.
yes, in español,
Yeah.
cayó.
Yeah, similar.
Yeah.
So when we translated that, we had to adapt, so it made more sense, and we chose Icarus because of the legend, of the myth of
The falling down, yeah.
His
Also
name
to
is
the sun.
his name is the one that falls, but is the other one that really falls at the end. And yeah. So, anyone have any comment or question, or we can move on to your short story?
Yeah, sure, great. Thank you so much for your reading. This is a story called SnapShots. It got published in a Canadian magazine called Pulp Literature early 2019. Then I sent it to Best of British Science Fiction 2019 and they accepted it, which is really cool because I've heard of a lot of these other people, though they've not heard of me, but they will one day. So just so you know what this story is about, it's a science fiction story about, it's from the perspective of a guy who is visiting his dad. His dad is the inventor of SnapShots, which is a technology that allows you to take a snapshot of people at different ages. So he's in a room with holograms of his earlier selves, talking to them all. And they're all named after the age that they are. 5, 15, 19, 21. Cool, I think that's all I need to know. So, snapshots. When Dad arrives, he twiddles a dial in the panel and the snap room gets brighter. He's wearing the same slacks and mustard-coloured cardigan that I expected Mum to have thrown out by now. His face is hollow, eyes empty. Strings of white hair fall from the ring of still-functioning follicles on his head. The white whiskers on his face give his skin a greyish hue. I've never seen him look so old. Best not to mention it. The snapshots adjust to the new light. The bluish glow of 5, 15, 19 and 21 makes each a petal in a ghostly peony at the room centre. Cheers, I say. I was too scared to touch anything. There are basic options on the panel like lighting, EQ, mute, reverse, record and so on, but also more serious sounding options, delete, modify, enhance. I almost pressed reset memory thinking it was a light switch, which would have erased everything the snapshots had learned since their creation. 5 runs to Dad for a hug. Daddy! He giggles as his hand runs through Dad's legs with a buzz. Holes like dead pixels pockmark his blocky hologram all over, from the bowl cut down to the dungarees. What took you so long, I say? Dad pretends to pat 5's head, his hands going straight through, fingertips lighting up in blue. There's a resting tremor in his hands. I've had those before, from antidepressants and hangovers. Neither are topics I broach easily. I hope Dad's shakes are something else. Some new customers wanted to book golfing lessons, he says. It takes a while to register them in the system. He walks to the TV monitors embedded in the wall and turns them on. They display CCTV footage of his golf course up above us. Golden light spreads over the greens. There's a white cart by the 9th hole where I parked not minutes ago. What were you guys talking about before I showed up? Tell him what was on your mind, 25, 15 says to me, rolling up the sleeves of a school shirt. I let them call me 25 so they don't feel excluded. I need your advice, Dad, I say. I've been seeing Flossie for a few years. She's itching for me to propose. I'd never known a Flossie before I met her in the bank one evening. She squeezed rain from her ebullient mop of pink hair and screamed at a camera that she wasn't leaving before speaking to a human. In a cringe-worthy but effective move, I said that if she was looking for human connection, we should go for a drink instead of waiting longer in that forgotten sterile cubicle. In my office daydreams of her, a shimmering ream of gossamer floss surrounds her. She's my Flossie by name and nature. That's how it usually goes, 25, Dad says. Your mother and I got married at your age. He giggles. The most wonderful decision I ever made, until we had you, son. He points at me, finger wobbling. Grandkids, they'll follow soon enough. One thing at a time, I say. A dad can dream. You'll bring Flossie next time, won't you? He used to complain that I wasn't visiting enough. Now I'm here so often it feels like I never leave, so he guilts me about not bringing Flossie. It's always something. You're right, he says, reading my face. I shouldn't say things like that. I didn't mean... Hooray, Fi says, star jumping with excitement. What's the wedding going to be like? How many cakes? You guys need to get a big house for all our kids. Dad sits cross-legged beside 5 but meets my gaze. Remember visiting me in the garage when you were 5? I'd be tinkering away with my tech and you'd pad across the backyard to see me, getting grass all over your grippy socks. Mum would entrust me with a steaming espresso to take on my journey. I'd hold it up to Dad, careful not to spill any. Back then, he looked several orders of magnitude larger than he does now. Dad looks to 5. I knew from this age that you'd make something of yourself. Remind me how high you can count, son. 5's face screws up in thought as he taps numbers across his digits. 1, 2, 3, 4. These days, now that anyone can make a snapshot and all of them are immaculate, Dad seems to love 5 the most. Over our lunches at the restaurant that overlooks the golf course, Dad has told me countless times that 5 is a special early fragment of a tech with boundless applications. 19 interrupts 5. Ugh, marriage. He slumps on the brushed aluminium wall. Are we that conventional? He scratches his bald head. I had long hair for most of that year, but shaved it off just before I turned 20. Dad so enjoyed that act of bravery that he kept it for the snapshot. 19 has a point. Flossie's friends are all getting married, and it does seem like it's our turn. But is that all any life event is? Our turn? That's the weird thing about Snap Room. I come here sometimes just to see how far I've progressed, but my former selves can be insightful. In the end, I'm the same as these kids in front of me once were. I improvise some approximation of a life in the face of epic choices I feel too small to make. Thought we'd have spent a few more years single, 19 continues, riding suicide over the Magno rails between cities, living off the land. What an insufferably idealistic dream. It's so painful to look at my own smug face from that age, its insincere smile, the whole snake-like who-did-I brooding thing I always did. I thought I knew so much more than everyone, rambling on about how I should have been born in the 1960s. I extolled the potential joy of living out of a Volkswagen van when I wouldn't even join Dad on his weekly hikes. Can you even play the guitar any better than I can, 19 adds. I shake my head with feigned dismay. 19 can tell. The last person he needs treating his pursuits as a silly phase is himself. It's cruel of me to hang out with these guys, really. They derive so much hope from the it-gets-better potential of the different futures they envisage. Here I am, the finite reality, robbing them of that hope simply by existing. I frown at 19 and say, we have a happy life? Fantastic, he says, pushing himself up from the wall with his feet, grazing its panelling, his arms firmly folded. I'm sure that makes us all so memorable. People will flock here to meet us one day. Come hang out with this guy's snapshots, for here lies a man who was once happy. They used to visit Snap Room, Dad's golfers and B&B guests. Later, SnapShotSoft LLC's patented Holo Project technology became reasonably priced. Now everyone has their own snapshots. It's hard to see even these first iterations as meaningful, what with proliferation like that. What's that sound? Oh. I cringe as Dad sings some made-up tune to himself while playing an air guitar. Hey 19, remember letting your dad take you to see the Mechabots in concert? When their drummer closed with that 10-minute solo and his platform rose up into the air? Then all those fireworks launched out the bass? You'd never seen anything like it. He smiles. I watched you watch them. The light of the sparklers in your eyes. 19 sighs. No one else wanted to go with me. Your guitar's here at the club, up in the attic. Will you teach me how to play if I bring it down? Oh, come on, Dad, I say. Why would you want to do that? 19 ignores us both. How do you think 25 is doing, 15? 15 is 19's favourite, even though they make each other bluer, their neuroses feeding off one another. Honestly, 15 says, loosening his tie, I can't believe we even have a girlfriend. An eternity in school uniform. Why not? That's what 15's existence felt like. His is an age I wouldn't repeat. On my mental to-do list for most of it was, find any bearable direction for life, hide misery from others, try not to kill self, will to live pending. Pending lasted months until I witnessed the purple balloon of my own pee bursting across Terry Corrigan's sour face at high school graduation. It was a petty humiliation to cap the many he put me through. Whatever keeps you going, I say. Dad tries to pinch 15's cheeks. True, you didn't have anyone to go out gallivanting with, but it worked out great for me. We spent weekends playing backgammon together. He clicks his tongue in thought. And you had so much to be proud of. A handsome young gent with your whole life ahead of you. I wish you could have seen that. It wasn't so simple. I kept all my suffering internal at that age. I guess that's one reason why Dad holds on to 15. He has happier memories with me than I have with myself. I'm glad in a way, but shouldn't I have enjoyed my own company at least as much as anyone else? Dad gasps. Fancy beating your old man at backgammon again? I'll bring a set. Just tell me where to move your pieces. 21 slicks his brown hair out of his face, then snaps his fingers. Oh yeah, he laughs. How quaint to think of the age before girlfriends. Don't worry, 15. Let's just say you make up for lost time. 19 takes 5's little hand and pulls him closer, blue sparks flying from their fingertips. The wireframe shape of their holograms bursts through as the room's computer struggles to interpret their crashing together. 19 glowers at 21, who says, what's the big deal? 21, the edgy, all-black wearing, experienced collecting party boy. Never missed a club night out, memorised album reviews on obscure websites and spouted them at friends to impress. When I look at him, I feel the elbows of all those partygoers in my ribs. The tinnitus of blaring techno rings in my ears. The sugary film of vodka mixers coats my teeth. The frozen fear of waking up in a field in muddy clothes jags through my chest. At least he kept me alive, but should I attribute that to him or luck? Dad cocks his head at me. You've something to learn from 21. All that creative energy. Remember the 30th anniversary party for your mother and me? The caterers with those fancy canopy-laden slates. You rented a champagne fountain. He presses a hand to his heart. The speech you gave it brought me to tears. I must have used the fountain more than Dad because I don't remember that at all. Sometimes it's more about indulging in the day's fun than working for the future, so slow down. You won't be 25 for long. That's the opposite of your usual advice, I say. What's going on? Since no one likes my suggestions, 21, maybe you can choose the activity for all of us today. I know you guys don't agree on much, but there must be something. Anything to distract 25 from his troubles. Why are you so against helping me? He hangs his head but doesn't speak. You didn't do much living in the moment at my age. You already had your own company. I hold my arms up and gesture around the room. I've got to get cracking if I want silly playrooms like this in my manse. Hey, 21 says. You know what I mean, I say. We sure do, says 15, looking to 19, who nods. I wish you could just enjoy yourself, Dad says. We never get enough time together and your mind's always elsewhere. He's almost in tears. I have no idea why. I shrug at the snapshots who spread around the room and appear like the blue fingers of a giant's hand. I clench my fists. I didn't mean to upset you, Dad. Let's just drop it. Want to go for lunch? Dad goes to the door, opens it and bends down. He slides in a silver tray and picks it up. On it are a single BLT, a glass of milk, a carton of orange juice and a box of raisins and a red plastic tea set. Why don't we have lunch here today? I brought the teacups for 5 to serve his favourite. Orange juice with raisins in it. Yay! 5 runs to Dad and jumps up, trying to grab the tray. His hand passes through it to his bemusement. I know it's fun for Dad to be here with the snapshots too, but as the eldest version of myself, and the only alive one in every sense, I don't want to share. He puts me in the awkward position of inventing some excuse for why we can't stay without insulting the rest. Oh well, if I mess up, maybe I can press reset memory when Dad's not looking. 25 thinks we don't know what he wants, 15 says, looking at Dad but jerking his head in my direction. 5 is on the floor, crying. He's realised his flesh isn't solid. Dad puts the tray down and kneels beside 5. Did I sound like that at 5? I figured it was endearing, evoking only sympathy. This is one occasion when I prefer my memory's partial view of the past to these digital replicas. I look between Dad and 5 to indicate my discomfort, but Dad's back up and chatting to 19 now. Dad, I say. Don't know why we humour him, 19 says, tailing off to look at me and say, to show that I've interrupted. He knows I resent him. I'm disgusted to have been someone so sneery, though I do admit it's easier to judge him from the outside. Okay, this is ridiculous, I say. I reach for the door handle. My hand goes straight through it, buzzing with blue sparks. 5 keeps wailing. I can only hear a few words of Dad's conversation with the others who form a bright blue wall around him. Their voices blur together. I struggle to hear my thoughts over the sound of them. I shout, "How did it happen?" The shock of it shuts up 5, who sniffles. Dad looks in dismay at his sandwich. His plan of a pleasant lunch has shattered. How many times I've done this to him, I have no idea. You and Flossie were celebrating your engagement, he says. Took an unlicensed autocab back home. It went haywire. Exploded. Neither of you, you know. I think back to my first spontaneous date with Flossie, the knock of her knee against mine, her manic laughter, how she characterised her office's staff room with such loving detail that I saw everyone with her, Mad Karen, Kind Sophie, Bob the Slob. I think of her now in a haze of grapefruit perfume with an aura of colourful ticker tape all around. The guilt of leaving the world Flossieless provides over every other pain now flooding me. But I don't get it, I say. I parked a car outside about half an hour ago. I gesture to the TV, to my cart by the 9th hole. Dad looks where I'm pointing. He walks to a panel and taps some setting in it. Across the TV screens, a granite sky appears. Beneath it is black, ash-like rain. The grass and dunes now fester with eerie black weeds. Why? He'd made it to retirement, to the simple pleasure of running this place. His roomy eyes roll at me. What was the point? Let nature take it all. He looks around the room. This is about all that matters. He dresses each of the snapshots in turn. 5, my first and favourite assistant. 15, my little rebel. 19 who emerged from his funereal adolescence with the ambition to live forever. 21 who first discovered how to enjoy life. He turns to me. 25. I shudder to hear the name. Your final reluctant birthday present to me, close as I can get to the day I lost you. I'm jealous of the tears streaming down his face. To think I'd shown these other snapshots such disdain. I'm the most deluded and pitiful of them all. I hope my future self is kinder to me than I've been to my younger versions. Oh right, there won't be one. How many waves of awful revelation can my heart take? Oh right, I don't have a heart. There goes another wave. I want to see Mum, I say. Dad waves a dismissive hand at me. Your mother came here once, it's not for her. He rolls his shoulders as if to rid himself of the idea. But I just want to forget what happened. That's not fair, isn't it? I think of the alternatives for both of us. I don't know the answer. Dad turns away, too saddened to look at me any longer, at any of us. He makes to leave, but I shout after him, take me with you. The others meet this plea with laughter, murmurs, saddened exhalations. Dad stops by the door, still with his back turned. Why did I save any of you? Your mother was right, this isn't helping. I growl with frustration. I've just learned I'm nothing more to you than a height mark on a kitchen wall, and now you're going to delete us? Go on then. Let him, 15 and 19 say to me in unison. No, 5 wails. Chill, 21 says. Dad inhales, turns around and says, the eldest snapshot is the most likely to think it's still alive. He smiles bleakly. I advise customers to keep snapshots of the same person in different rooms. I was mostly thinking of the profit I'd gained from the extra projectors required. He walks between us, reaching out to ruffle 5's holographic hair, stroke 19's sunken little face. Split you guys up? That was like asking whether I wanted to see only your hand today, your leg tomorrow. He looks between us all. Not height marks in a kitchen wall, more like, I don't know, cross-sections from a full-body MRI scan. He holds out his palm and chops up and down it with his other hand. Instead of the 3D image of a body, together you're the 4D reality of my entire sum. He lowers his head. You're each a person I wish I could have kept, and just a part of someone I love dearly. None of us know what to say. I'll try again later, he says, turning back to the door. One more time, just once more. Well done, 19 says to me. You ruined it, 15 says. I feel 21's touch like a fuzz of static on my shoulder. It's okay, he says, bringing me in for a comforting embrace. 5 wraps his arms through my legs. All of you stand before me now, Dad says. Proof that my son is gone forever. But each time I come here, I think it will go differently. Before I can say anything, he's out the door. His hand reaches back in. I run to it as he presses reset memory. Cheers. Thank you so much for listening. Does anyone have any questions? Great. Marina, you wanted to open up to the topic itself.
Before I wanted to make a comment. It's funny how sometimes I think everybody maybe has this idea of going to a younger self and talking to them, or only if I knew or who I was at that time. And I've thought a lot about that, and one way of trying to avoid this lack of contact with our previous selves, I kind of did a notebook, and I give this notebook to every children I know, daughters and sons of friends I have, maybe some cousins, and it's like a notebook that goes through your life. It's a blank notebook, but it has some instructions on how the kid could use and note dreams and make notes of things they want to be, make notes of important thoughts they have in specific ages or any time that they think they need to. And when they turn 20, the notebook's supposed to end, and so they have all these memories collected in one place of who they were in previous ages. Because our memory is not reliable. I don't remember who I was at age of 10.
Yeah.
And when I was a teacher, I used to be around 10 and 8-year-old kids all the time, and they are complex, complete human beings, and I don't know who I was at that time. So it was a little small way to try to reach this connection with the younger self that I try to give to young children that I know, because I cannot do that, I cannot go back. And this idea of snapshots is really interesting, because you not only have the selves between itself connecting and talking and perceiving things that they didn't before, but also the figure of the dad.
Yeah.
And well, it's very strong. It's very strong.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Cheers. I think the thing for me was, I think that I'm always kind of worried that I'm not doing the right thing. But I think this story was telling me that you're so many different people that you have to kind of, I don't know, pay tribute to whatever you are at each growing age and constantly reevaluate what your goals are and everything. And one of the nice things about that is that these things you think were so important to you at one age, maybe you'll grow up and go, I can't believe I ever wanted that. And then maybe it was all you thought about that entire year. But it's also, when I am sitting and reading books, I sit and cringe thinking about things that I used to do. And oh God, that was me. But also, kind of wasn't. And I also would like to, I would be so much better at the things I care about now if I could have started doing them at 20, but maybe I wouldn't be so driven and interested in the things I like now if I hadn't wasted so much time as well, I suppose. So, yeah. And I think also, like, you want to talk about death, but I think also so much, death is so important, but also you spend so much of your time alive grieving for different things. In this case, it's like all the past selves that you've lost. You know, when you're turning into somebody new, you have to, it's a painful process because of that, because you have to lose the sense of who you were before, and then you gain what you are in the future. So I have a great sympathy for everyone, really, because there's no way of really avoiding that process, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. I don't know if everyone here had experienced death from close people or family friends. And everyone has this grieving of people, especially. I think it's the hardest. In very different processes. Like in only one funeral, sometimes, like you have all kinds of people. There's the ones crying. There are the ones being happy with memories and listening to the song that the person liked to listen, and all kinds of things to go through this phase.
Yeah.
But also the grieving of the things we were before and the things we are now that we do not realize are not going to be in a few days.
Yeah.
And I like this allegory that is about, I think it was from Neil Gaiman, but probably not original from him, that people are like oceans. There is the Pacific, is one ocean, but every second is a different ocean. There are different animals, different things happening inside, and it will never be the same, but at the same time it's the same big thing. So I guess grieving and thinking about death in general makes us realize that, okay, this has passed, it's okay, I can be sad about this, I can be regretting some things, but it's literally the focus is in this past, it's gone, so it's like, let's move forward and go to the next grieving basically of ourselves and people and things in general, phases and bands, it's happening.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So was there some sort of, what was like the personal, was there a personal reason that drew you to this story in particular, or is it, you're doing a lot of research similar to
I'm
this
doing
topic?
a lot of research now, but this one, it came very organically. Like I was thinking about, I wanted to write a short story with an end that kind of flipped, but it was likely to end. And the idea, okay, I want someone to die, but I'm gonna write something that will look like the other person will die until the end.
Yeah.
So
But somebody die in a fictional character, or that is based on something you experience?
Oh no, completely
The
fictional.
character you play.
Yeah, completely.
I like when you mention ocean because I live in 4 countries different. This is my country number 4, and I always compare some change in my life, especially this country when I landed, like it's on tsunami.
Yeah.
No, it's like all what it was in your life is taken away, and with the pieces that remain, you construct something new.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because you speak about oceans, and then say, oh wow, I compare sometimes the things happen in my life, long history, okay, many things particular. I compare this with the tsunami, no? The big, huge waves take away what you construct or what you have before, and then the reminding of what is, it means memories, good or bad, you construct, you will be. I like this way you have oceans.
Yeah, and you build yourself again. Basically.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, that's the.
Some part is missing, and you say, okay. Yeah.
But that's you right now.
But
That's the whole you.
it's us, or it's me, or it's I think everybody, I think the life will not change in some point. It's also something you mentioned, what you want when you was 10 years old, and who you are now. I think when people we aging, we becoming more ourselves, and some. I mean, we all our. I believe in something in a soul, no, and in a light, and a dark, and shadow, and light. I believe in this, no. And I think when we aging, we all are ourselves by some genetic, epigenetic, cultural, intellectual. But when we age, we becoming to be we more ourselves actually.
Yeah.
You know.
I get that because with the experience we start to collect things,
Yes.
and those things become part of ourselves.
Yes.
And these things weren't before. So I understand the sense of being more complete in a way as we age. It's
I think everybody, you say something about wasting time. Everybody feel at some point wasting time in something. It's a very logical, especially now, no? We have this sense of wasting time. It is, we wasting time when I was younger, when or I get older like me, what I don't do in this before. I mean, I think better to say, it's much better to regret than to ask him, excuse me, I can do it. Okay, we're doing something or we don't do it, it is. But it's much better we mistake sometimes, no?
Yeah.
Okay,
Well, like you're saying, like I think you become more yourself when you're older, and I think
yes.
especially like through the process of loss as well, it makes you more yourself, and the more you know who you are, which I think you find out mostly through finding out the stuff you're not.
Yeah.
You fail at this, you fail at that. Maybe you don't want to use the word failure, I get, but you just go, okay, that's not me. I tried that. That's not me. That burns me out. I don't like that. And then what's left is like 4 or 5 things. You're like, oh, I'm going to do these 4 or 5 things over and over and over, really, really good. And once you've found what those are, it's such a relief. And when you look back at younger people and see them going through that process, I'm not jealous of them. I'm happy to be the person I am, and it doesn't seem like I could have got this way other than the way other than through the things that happened to me. So I don't have regrets, but I think that, a story about grieving is a time to, I don't know, just mourn for things that are no more, which is I suppose it is valuable time. It is valuable time. It's a natural process, and you become a better person out of it. Yeah.
It is funny, the Jewish Kabbalah, I'm Jewish, and then also the Buddhist, and it's funny. In every choice you make in your life, you have to leave something behind with no choice. Every single choice we're doing in our life is to grieve in something, okay, you cannot get to something that it's the content, it's the reason the human being evolved so much as animal. The possibility to change and evolve.
Yeah.
Marina Jakovacz, yeah. Well, either way we grow, even if you're thinking we're wasting time in life, wasting time in activities that we don't want to and have to do, either way we end up growing. So
Absolutely.
right now, and when I say right now, it's like right now, this few hours, I'm in a very positive mood about that. Because
Fantastic.
every day changes. We are allowed to change all the time. Oceans, remember. And there are days that I think about that a lot because I'm writing a big book about this as well, but not so subtle, very specific to the point of death and different ways of seeing it and dealing with it. And every day I'm a different person about this. There are days that I'm very stoic, There are days that I'm very existential, like, okay, we're gonna die anyway, so fuck it. Or we're gonna die anyway. So each day is a different me, thinking about life through this perspective of things are gonna end sometime, so you better enjoy it, or don't. If you don't want to enjoy the day, just stay laying in bed, watch some Netflix, okay too. And
It's all good.
2020 is more allowed, even more allowed than other years, because
Absolutely.
it's not our fault.
And there was
Corona.
there was some excellent stuff on Netflix as well. Just top-notch quality material.
There is.
If you take anything from this talk, guys, you got Netflix?
Absolutely better.
So yeah, I was thinking that a couple months ago, a little bit, well, during this COVID thing, I stopped to think a lot about my writings in general, like since 2014 and everything that I've done so far. Even the ones that are comedy, that script, for example, that I told you about. All of them deal with this theme of death at some point. So that's why, okay, I'm gonna focus on that now. So no more bullshit, no more
That's
trying
you.
to make it flat, subtle. Let's go deep in it. This is more, the one I read is more of a love story, not so deep in this thing of, okay, life's gonna end, but yeah, we're growing. I think that's the main thing for me.
Yeah.
¿Usted escribe solo en portugués o también inglés?
Yeah, she's asked if I write only in Portuguese or in English too. But usually only in Portuguese. I find it,
Muito bonito.
yeah, I find it very musical language, and we can play a lot. But I've done some writing in English now because of masters and everything. A little bit of creative writing, not that much, but usually yes, in Portuguese. I have this short story on Amazon Kindle now, and the version I read is not complete. There are some bits a little bit more. So if you want to just look for my name.
So you use also the poetry or also you?
No, no, just narrative.
Narrative.
Yeah, short stories and scripts mostly. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, do you have something more to say?
Oh, please, Stavanger Filmmakers. Yeah, it's the group I started. I basically taught myself to write, and then I got in Best of British Science Fiction 2019. So I figured, okay, if I can do that, then I can teach myself how to make films. So I started that last year with these two bits of kit. Actually, I was making films with my phone and this mic. I have a good camera now. So please come along. You don't need to. You can have as much experience as I did when I started, which is 0. Just you want to act, I'll put you in front of a camera. You want to write a script, we'll act it out. Why not? That's how you learn. It's a really nice open space to have fun. Why not have fun? Because we're not making money from it. It's the only, that's the number one thing I have to offer. Facebook.com/Stavanger Filmmakers, 2 M's. We have events in the library starting September 7th, 6:30. Scheller Werkstätte. It's in the basement. You'll get all the details of that on the Facebook page. Come along, join in anytime you want. They're going to be every Monday until Christmas. You miss one, come the next time. I don't care. It's fine. Come join in. Do what you can. Let's have a laugh. Please. Cheers.